Hi, Peter Charles here, and today let's talk about wet flies. Here I have a wet fly on the vise, very simple pattern. In fact, that categorizes pretty well all wet flies. They're essentially simple. And what they imitate is the emerger state of the trout. So when a trout's sitting on the bottom, it sits there and eats nymphs, and then when these nymphs need to hatch, they come up to the surface and the trout will follow them and take them. And often you'll see just a bulging rise when they're hitting emergers. You don't see the fish come through the surface, create bubbles, little splashes, nothing like that. It's just a bulge. And that gives you the clue that these fish are hitting emergers. And that's when you really want to bring out your wet flies. You can fish them a variety of ways, and I have a video on that showing all the different ways you can fish a wet fly. And these types of takes that you get from them can be quite visual, just like almost like a dry if you're fishing it just under the surface. And that's what you're attempting to do, is fish it right where the insect is trying to go from the nymph to the adult. And keep in mind, when we're talking mayflies, they do not have a pupal stage. They go right from the nymph to the subadult. In caddis, they do have an emerger stage, which is the pupa. So your flies can move around a little bit in terms of shape and color, depending whether you're going after caddis or mayfly. But a perfect example of a fly that works for both is the partridge in orange, which in the UK was really intended as a mayfly emerger style of fly. But here in North America, I'm using it as a caddis emerger imitation, and it works just great. And the other thing, too, is we often think of just Yorkshire wets, but there's a broad variety of flies out there that we can use to imitate insects that are in that state of going from the larva or the pupa into an adult. You're using wet flies for the hackles. So you've got hen hackles. You could be using caddis, or we could use grouse, we could use snipe. There's a variety of feathers you can use. And the characteristic of these feathers is they're very soft. This is not like dry fly where they're spiky. It's a very, very soft feather. It moves very easily in current. And, you can tie very, very simple flies. I mean, they don't have to be complicated. Here's my fly box. You've got quite a few in here. And there's a partridge in yellow. And there's a partridge in orange in here. Very simple wet flies. You can knock them off quite quickly. And they're not really a close imitation of an insect. It's a representation of a general insect. Like this particular fly here, I mean, it just looks buggy. And that's basically what you're after. And I think when you're fishing these, be aware that you can fish them in a variety of ways. You don't have to be stuck doing one thing. When I read these books, what I find is that they tend to recommend a particular method. When you read Sylvester Neames, he says don't move it, just let it swing, don't provide any action. Where I provide action all of the time on mine, when I'm out, I'll do dead drift, I'll do straight swing, I'll swing and pulse. I'll do a variety of different approaches, and they all work. You just have to pay attention. If you're not getting a hit on a swung fly, pulse it, all that sort of thing. So if you look at that video, you'll see how I do that. Now, as far as these books are concerned, they all contain great examples of wet flies. And we're going to do a few over the next few weeks. You'll get a chance to have a chance of tying some of these up. They're very simple. You can knock them off real quickly. And as I say, they are great fun because it's both visual and tactile. You'll see the strike, you'll feel the strike, and they're great fun, and you'll get some big fish on them as well. And it's not just little guys. You can often get big guys on these these flies. And often I think sometimes you'll get bigger fish because the fly being just under the surface, the larger fish is a little bit more comfortable in taking it than creating a big splash when it goes up and takes a dry, for example. So you might find yourself getting smaller fish on the dries and bigger fish on the emergers and nymphs. So Stay tuned. I'm going to be putting out a bunch of flies. I'll repeat some of the ones I've done in the past, perhaps with a few little extra bits on the fishing. And we'll hopefully, if the temperature comes down, it's been stinking hot here in southern Ontario. But if the temperature comes down, we'll get out in the water and I'll put some more examples of how I fish these flies. So stay tuned. As I say, I'll be putting them out in the next few weeks and maybe get a few fishing videos in there as well. Cheers.